Good morning. My name is Ann Ariano, and I serve as a trustee here at DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. My pillar is the outreach pillar that is involved with all of our social action and social justice outreach. We want to welcome everyone to our open and inclusive community. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many spiritual paths to truth and meaning, and we support one another as we explore these paths. First-time and returning visitors, is it our custom to invite you to stand and give your name and where you're from, if you feel comfortable doing so? Are there any visitors who would like to introduce themselves today?
People call me Georgie. I live in Clayton.
Great, welcome. Anybody else? Well, thank you and welcome to everyone visiting today. Please join us after the service for coffee hour. We would love to have a chance to get to know you better. I will be there along with many of our members. In addition, our minister, Reverend Mike Walker, is usually here, but he's away this weekend. But our Director of Religious Education, Steve Cooper, will be leading the service today. And our Congregational Life Coordinator, Mary Law, are present and happy to meet you. Our service can be heard outside the glass doors in the back of the sanctuary, should anyone feel the need to step out during the service for any reason. As we begin our service, please silence electronic devices, and thank you for joining us this morning. We also have a couple of other important announcements. As part of this interim ministry period, we have our ministry startup workshop next Sunday, October 13th, from 12 to 4 p.m. here in the sanctuary. Lunch will be available, more on that in a minute. Reverend Lisa Presley, our regional Congregational Life staffer with the UUA, will facilitate. Join us to reclaim DuPage UU's storied past, lifting up golden moments and healing past hurts. Understand how this church community can be a force for good in your life and for the lives of others, in the here and now. And begin to dream about how this congregation, your congregation, can move into the future with intentionality and hopefulness. This important workshop is intended to help us move forward together, while also providing key insights for our new interim minister, Reverend Mike Walker, to help him direct his work over the next couple of years in the most helpful manner. Come and co-create the congregation we yearn to be. The church will provide lunch, sandwiches and beverages for $6. The deadline to RSVP for lunch is today. Lunches will be ordered on Tuesday. So that really means you have a couple of days, but deadline is today. Please bring a correct change or a check next week to pay. There will be a table in Creeves Hall during the coffee hour for RSVPs to the workshop and for lunch. Also, if you need childcare, please stop by the table today to let us know or contact Steve Cooper at dre@dupageuchurch.org. And now for our auction update. Thank you to our wonderful community for your auction donations thus far. Final donations for the Saturday, November 2nd, 2019 Goods and Services Auction, Harry Potter and the Ministry of UUs, are tomorrow, October 7th, Monday, tomorrow. What we still need is a feast wizard to help our Tasty Provisions ministry make and serve a magical banquet. Also wanted a tiny wizard watcher. Wizarding moms and dads would love to attend the auction while you keep the wee wizarding ones busy with pizza, crafts, and a movie. See Beth Johnson Cuny after the service. Beth, are you here? There you are. See Beth after the service to help, to step up to help, to donate online today, or to get help in doing so from home. And you can see me to purchase your event and dinner tickets and save money buying them at the door. One more important announcement: coffee with our guests and visitors. Sometimes coffee hour can be crowded and maybe a little intimidating. If you're a first-time visitor or you've been here more than once and would like a more casual way to connect with a few DuPage UU members, grab a cup of coffee after the service, or come as you are, and meet us in the lower annex, down the stairs just below the sanctuary. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Good morning. Today we worship as a multi-generational community. Before we begin, let us take a moment to look around at those of us sharing this space. I think there's a new walker over there. Let us recognize the hearts of our whole community, from our eldest to our youngest, and all those in between. Let us embody the beauty of this church community, even when there are a few more wiggles, giggles, and chatter. Let us remind ourselves to listen carefully and calm our minds. Begin by breathing peace and joy into this sacred space. You are surrounded by the love of this community. All are welcome.
We light our chalice this morning for the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
Please join me in reading our affirmation together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth, love, and to help one another.
Welcome to the month of belonging and what it means to be a people of belonging. I find it very appropriate that belonging was selected as a theme this month. Just go through the list of the marginalized groups or individuals that are recognized in the month of October. It's LGBTQ History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, Bullying Prevention Month, and ADHD Awareness Month. These are groups of people who may have a sense of not belonging, but that want to belong. If we look further, on October 4th in Canada, they had the Sisters in Spirit Vigil, where they honor the lives of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. October 11th is National Coming Out Day. October 14th is Indigenous Peoples Day. Even the clergy have an appreciation day on October 13th. And then there are milestone dates that marked a time in history where new people became part of an institution that was previously dominated by white males. October 2nd, 1967, Thurgood Marshall is the first African-American Associate Justice in the U.S. Supreme Court. On October 4th, 1993, Ruth Bader Ginsburg joins the U.S. Supreme Court as its second woman justice. On October 8th, 1993, Toni Morrison became the first African American woman to win the Nobel Prize for Literature. And October 23rd, 2015, was the Suffrage Movement March. The parade's purpose, stated in its official program, was to march in a spirit of protest against the present political organization of society from which women are excluded. So October, it seems to me, is appropriate to be the month of belonging. We want to welcome all, but sometimes in our actions and words, we create a sense of non-belonging. So our questions for this month are, what does it mean to be a people of belonging? And who belongs here? Please stand, embody our spirit, and join in singing hymn number 323, Break Not the Circle. The words will be projected.
I would like to share with you today a story about belonging and not belonging. The story is Stella Luna by Janelle Cannon. In a warm and sultry forest, far, far away, there once lived a mother fruit bat and her new baby. Oh, how Mother Bat loved her soft, tiny baby. "I'll name you Stella Luna," she crooned. Each night, Mother Bat would carry Stella Luna clutched to her breast as she flew out to search for food. One night, as Mother Bat followed the heavy scent of ripe fruit, an owl spied her. On silent wings, the powerful bird swooped down upon the bats. Dodging and shrieking, Mother Bat tried to escape, but the owl struck again and again, knocking Stella Luna into the air. Her baby wings were as limp and useless as wet paper. Down, down she went faster and faster into the forest below. The dark leafy tangle of branches caught Stella Luna as she fell. One twig was small enough for Stella Luna's tiny feet. Wrapping her wings around her, she clutched the thin branch, trembling with cold and fear. "Mother," squeaked Stella Luna, "where are you?" By daybreak, the baby bat could hold on no longer. Down, down again she dropped. Flump! Stella Luna landed headfirst in a soft, downy nest, startling the 3 baby birds who lived there. Stella Luna quickly clambered from the nest and hung out of sight below it. She listened to the babble of the 3 birds. "What was that?" cried Flap. "I don't know, but it's hanging by its feet," chirped Flitter. "Shh, here comes Mama," hissed Pip. Many, many times that day, Mama Bird flew away, always returning with food for her babies. Stellaluna was terribly hungry, but not for the crawly things Mama Bird brought. Finally, though, the little bat could stand it no longer. She climbed into the nest, closed her eyes, and popped open her mouth. Plop! In dropped a big green grasshopper. Stellaluna learned to be like the birds. She stayed awake all day and slept at night. She ate bugs, even though they tasted awful. Her bat ways were quickly disappearing, except for one thing. Stellaluna still liked to sleep hanging by her feet. Once when Mama was away, the curious baby birds decided to try it too. When Mama came home, she saw 8 tiny feet gripping the edge of the nest. "Hey!" she cried. "Get back up here this instant. You're going to fall and break your necks." The birds clambered back into the nest, but Mama Bird stopped Stellaluna. "You are teaching my children to do bad things. I will not let you back into the nest unless you promise to obey all the rules of this house." Stellaluna promised. She ate bugs without making faces. She slept in the nest at night, and she didn't hang by her feet. Stellaluna behaved as a good bird should. All the babies grew up quickly. Soon the nest became crowded. Mama Bird told them it was time to learn to fly. One by one, Pip, Flitter, Flap, and Stellaluna jumped from the nest. Their wings worked. "I'm just like them," thought Stellaluna. "I can fly too." Pip, Flitter, and Flap landed gracefully on a branch. Stellaluna tried to do the same. How embarrassing. "I will fly all day," Stellaluna told herself. "Then when no one will see how clumsy I am." The next day, Pip, Flitter, Flap, and Stellaluna went flying from home. They flew for hours, exercising their new wings. "The sun is setting," warned Flitter. "We better go home or we will get lost in the dark," said Flap. But Stellaluna had flown far ahead and was nowhere to be seen. The 3 anxious birds went home without her. All alone, Stellaluna flew and flew until her wings ached and she dropped into a tree. "I promised not to hang by my feet," Stellaluna sighed. So she hung by her thumbs and soon fell asleep. She didn't hear the soft sounds of wings coming near. "Hey," a loud voice said, "why are you hanging upside down?" Stellaluna's eyes opened wide. She saw a most peculiar face. "I'm not upside down. You are," Stellaluna said. "Ah, but you're a bat. Bats hang by their feet. You are hanging by your thumb, so that makes you upside down," said the creature. "I'm a bat. I am hanging by my feet, and that makes me right side up." Stellaluna was confused. "Mama Bird told me I was upside down. She said I was wrong." "Wrong for a bird, maybe, but not for a bat." More bats gathered round to see the strange young bat who behaved like a bird, and Stellaluna told them her story. "You ate bugs?" stuttered one. "You slept at night?" gasped another. "How very strange," they all murmured. Wait, let me look at this child." A bat pushed through the crowd. "An owl attacked you?" Sniffling Stellaluna's fur, she whispered, "You are Stellaluna. You are my baby." "You escaped the owl?" cried Stellaluna. "You survived?" "Yes," said Mother Bat as she wrapped her wings around Stellaluna. "Come with me, and I'll show you where to find the most delicious fruit. You will never have to eat another bug as long as you live." But it's nighttime, Stella Luna squeaked. We can't fly in the dark or we'll fly into trees. We're bats, said Mother Bat. We can see in the darkness. Come with us. Stella Luna was afraid, but she let go of the tree and dropped into the deep blue sky. Stella Luna could see. She felt as though rays of light shone from her eyes. She was able to see everything in her path. Soon the bats found a mango tree, and Stella Luna ate as much fruit as she could hold. I will never eat another bug as long as I live, cheered Stella Luna as she stuffed herself full. I must tell Pip, Flitter, and Flap. The next day, Stella Luna went to visit the birds. Come with me and meet my bat family, said Stella Luna. Okay, let's go, agreed Pip. They hang by their feet and they fly at night and they eat the best food in the world, Stella Luna explained to the birds on the way. As the birds flew among the bats, Flap said, I feel upside down here. So the birds hung by their feet. Wait until dark, Stella Luna said excitedly. We will fly at night. When night came, Stella Luna flew away. Pip, Flitter, and Flap leapt from the tree to follow her. I can't see a thing, yelled Pip. Neither can I, howled Flitter. Ah! Shrieked Flap. They're going to crash, gasped Stella Luna. I must rescue them. Stella Luna swooped about, grabbing her friends in the air. She lifted them to a tree, and the birds grasped her branch. Stella Luna hung from the limb above them. We're safe, said Stella Luna. Then she sighed. I wish you could see in the dark, too. I wish you could land on your feet, Flitter replied. Pip and Flap nodded. They perched in silence for a long time. How can we be so different and feel so much alike, mused Flitter. And how can we feel so different and be so much alike, wondered Pip. I think this is a mystery, Flap chirped. I agree, said Stella Luna, but we're friends, and that's a fact.
Have you ever felt like you just don't belong? Like you're an upside down bat in a nest of right side up birds? Certainly, many people seem to feel this way, either about their families or their community, their sexuality, and culture. We desire to belong, to fit in, to have a tribe. And yet, this most basic desire is so often thwarted. World-renowned researcher Brené Brown has spent years studying and interviewing people about the things that really matter: vulnerability, courage, worthiness, and shame. So much of these characteristics are tied up in the concept of belonging. When she asked people what they are worried about and trying to achieve, it was the idea of belonging that was most important, with many yearning to be part of something, to experience real connection with others, but not at the cost of their authenticity, freedom, or power. Brené wrote, belonging is the innate human desire to be part of something larger than us. Because this yearning is so primal, we often try to acquire it by fitting in and by seeking approval, which are not only hollow substitutes for belonging, but often barriers to it. Because true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world, our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. Oddly enough, Our need to belong is also tied in with our need to be different and unique. Our sense of community clashes with our fear of difference. We want to belong to our tribe or our family and to feel loved and cherished. And our desire for connection and love runs deep, so much so that we may compromise who we are in order to belong. Brene Brown says that when we fit in instead of actually belong, we mold ourselves to the situation instead of standing for our authentic self. This doesn't create real connection, and we can end up feeling lonelier with people than we would have if we have stayed true to ourselves. In the story Stella Luna, she did her best to mold herself to the situation. And at the time, she really didn't have a choice. She ate what the birds ate. She slept upright rather than hanging upside down. She was warmly welcomed by her adopted siblings, and they even tried Stella Luna's way of doing things. But Mother Bird would have nothing to do with that. She understood what birds needed and how birds should act. And Mother Bird did welcome in Stella Luna if she would take on what Stella Luna considered to be peculiar bird habits. However, the first chance that Stella Luna had to act like a bat, her authentic self, she flew off into the night until she was too tired to fly anymore. And when she met up with other bats, she realized where she belonged, and that with the birds, she only fit in. Please stand in body or spirit and join in singing hymn 1053 in the Teal Hymnal, How Can Anyone? The words will be projected. I would like to invite the young and the young at heart to join me up here on our gathering quilt. I'm adding a chair to the mix. Any of you have any idea who this chair is for? What's that? Anyone else? Brian? Someone that doesn't feel comfortable sitting on the quilt? Ben?
It like symbolizes
It symbolizes that there can always be more people that can join. Have any of you ever participated in a Passover Seder? Do you know what that is?
I don't even know what Passover is.
So it's a Jewish holiday, and it's Seder is a dinner. And whenever they set up for the dinner, they always have an extra chair. And they say that the chair is for the prophet Elijah. Because if anybody were to knock at the door to come in, they would welcome them in to sit at the chair. And they would make sure to welcome everybody that came in, because Elijah would always disguise himself. So you never knew if it was Elijah or not, and you wanted to welcome Elijah in. So it was his way of seeing if you were truly a welcoming, if it was a welcoming event. So in other situations, sometimes we set a chair out just to say that there's always a space open, like what Ben said. There's always a space open for someone else to be a part of it. But what do we do when the people might be a little bit different? So imagine that someone wanted to come and join the circle, but that person could not see very well. What could you do to welcome that person?
Let them sit at the front
Let them sit at the front? How's that going to help them?
because they can easily see the person talking.
So they,
If you're nearsighted, if you're full-sighted, you would sit near the back, so you could see.
so if they're nearsighted, you want them to sit front. If they're farsighted, they would sit towards the back. Julia.
If they have a really hard time seeing, you could tell them if the words on the board are up there, you could.
So if there's words, you can help read words for them. So like if they weren't able to read the words that were projected, you could help them by saying what those words were. Anything else that we could do to help someone that can't see very well? Owen. You help lead them to where they're going. Lead them to a place to sit. Yes. Ben?
Have them get glasses.
Yeah. What you can do is be a little bit proactive and help them obtain glasses. So it might be that they don't have the money to get glasses on their own. So you might do something to help them that way. What if it's a non-English speaking person? How would you welcome them into the space? Yes.
If you learn that language, you could speak that language to them.
So if someone knows that language that the person speaks, you could help translate for them. Yes, thank you. Ryan. Translate? Yep.
I think that they could.
Oh, use Google Translate?
I think that'd be a little long. I mean, maybe I can type in everything.
Yep, that would work.
Like if you don't know, I feel like that might
Use
not.
like one of those apps where like you say something in English, whatever language you have, and then it speaks with the other language.
Yep, so you have an app that you speak your language and it'll speak back that other language. Very good. Owen. So first try in English, and if they have problems hearing, understanding that, then you would say it in their language. What if it was a person that just moved into the neighborhood and they don't know anybody? Julia.
You could bring them a basket of food, like cookies or salad.
Bring them a welcoming basket? Yeah. Yes.
Introduce them to everyone.
Introduce them to the people in the neighborhood? Yes. Ryan?
Maybe.
Try to become friends with them. Very good. What if the person's... Owen, yes. Just find friends for them and help them make friends. So we have this chair here. What if someone came in that was in a wheelchair? What could you do to make them feel welcome? Yes.
I would assume that you could have a space for them to be.
So
Or
maybe
help them get into a chair and get back out of the chair into the wheelchair if that's something they're able to do, or if the wheelchair, like if they just can't really.
so if they are able to transfer to the chair, help them transfer, Or you could just move the chair to the side so that their wheelchair, they can come into that space in their wheelchair. Yes, Ryan.
If it's not electricity powered, you could ask them if you could push it forward.
You can ask them if they would like help being pushed. Yes, Owen. Or I didn't hear all that. Could you?
I think it was helping someone move into a
So help them transfer into the chair. All right. So some people that we described are said to have special needs. Not all of them. So sometimes we all have special needs. If I'm in a new place and feel scared or lonely, I need to be welcomed in a different way than if I'm familiar with the place and all of you. So we're welcoming when we do not make assumptions about what a person can do, or likes to do, or what they need. So if an activity called for cutting out shapes from paper, what would be the best thing to do to be welcoming to someone who does not see well? Do you cut it out for them, or do you ask if they need help? What do you think, Ben?
You ask them if they need help, because if you just come in and start cutting them for them, they might think that it's rude.
Right.
It makes them feel like you think they can't do anything. Like, it makes them feel like people welcoming them because they're being like, oh, you can't see very well? Oh, then you can't cut this, I guess. Like, they could even be new, like, they could just be nearsighted even, and they could see it.
Right. So don't just make assumptions that they need the help. Ask them if they need help. So making our congregation accessible and knowing respectful ways to welcome people with different needs are important ways to be welcoming. And they are ways that we can use every day. So we help people feel like they can belong by sometimes changing the way we do things. We just don't leave it to the other person to try and fit in. So in just a moment, I'm going to give you a piece of paper with the word belonging on it. And I'd like for you to take the paper back with you to your seat and create an expression of what belonging means to you. So you can create word art by adding words that start with the first letter, so it's a word art poem. Or you can just draw a picture that means belonging to you. And perhaps sometime during the rest of the service, there'll be some ideas that will spark for you. And then you'll have a chance to share your paper with your neighbors at the end of the service. Yep.
Ours is a free church, but it is not free. The offering portion of our worship service is a reminder of what it means to support our own religious community instead of having someone else support it and tell us how to live and where to go if we dissent and disobey. The offering reminds us that our congregation belongs to us, to each of us, as well as to the whole of us. Often our worship includes a sung invitation to enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter and bring your mind and full heart with you. Rejoice and know that the sadness and mourning we all go through teaches us why and how to rejoice. Come in and bring your commitment with you in the form of a pledge or a contribution, let our offering be a way to our commitment, real and public.
In reality, the only true belonging that exists, and a connection that underscores everything else and all other relationships in life, is that powerful sense of belonging to ourselves. We are so often trying to belong elsewhere that we turn our backs on this most important and key aspect of belonging anywhere and everywhere in life. If we do not accept and love ourselves, if we do not belong to ourselves, how can we truly belong anywhere else? Brené Brown describes this deep belonging to ourselves as akin to being in the wilderness, the place that we have the courage to experience and ultimately become our true selves.
Belonging so fully to yourself that you are willing to stand alone is a wilderness, an untamed, unpredictable place of solitude and searching. It is a place as dangerous as it is breathtaking, a place as sought after as it is feared. The wilderness can often feel unholy because we can't control it, or what people think about our choice of whether to venture into that vastness or not. But it turns out to be the place of true belonging, and it's the bravest and most sacred place you will ever stand.
Today, the world appears to be becoming more and more disconnected, with the cracks between people, races, genders, ethnicities, political beliefs, religions, and philosophies widening at an alarming rate. But when we look deeper, this disconnection and the political and economic machines that are moving people apart are ironically spawning movements bringing people closer together than ever. People are uniting in their humanity, joined by their hearts, by their desire for a better world, and the sincere wish to help others who are less fortunate. It takes great strength and courage to remain open-hearted and vulnerable in the world we live in today. And yet, in order to survive, we must lead from the heart, and we must belong to ourselves. There is no other way. Life can feel like a wild jungle of emotions, people, challenges, and intense craziness. I know for myself, sometimes I feel deeply connected and part of something, a community, a movement, a family, and then in the next moment, I feel alone and different, apart from everyone. Belonging, I think, remains a paradox until we find that infinite and eternal place of belonging deeply to ourselves.
True belonging is a spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness. True belonging does not require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are.
True belonging is a calling. It asks us to get messy, to walk into the fray, to soften into the hard edges of life instead of shying away. It asks us to dig into our own psyche and to discover our deepest fears and to meet our most vulnerable selves. We only really enter into life when we cast off the anchor, leave what is comfortable and familiar behind, and sail into the unknown. Brené Brown discovered in her extensive research that there are 4 powerful elements of true belonging.
Number 1, people are hard to hate close up. Move in. Number 2, speak truth to BS. It says BS. Be civil. Number 3, hold hands with strangers. Number 4, strong back, soft front, wild heart. There is intense power in these words, and these 4 elements, she says, are a daily practice, even while at the same time feeling like a paradox. Yet imagine the world we could create if we practiced true belonging and lived from these 4 elements. We all belong to the human race. Once we truly and deeply understand the words of the indigenous elders when they say, "The earth is our mother and we are all brothers and sisters," then we will belong in a way that we each yearn for, to ourselves and to each other. Please stand in body and spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 318, "We Would Be One." The words will be projected.
remain standing. I want you to hold hands with strangers. Reach out, grab hands with the person next to you. Maya Angelou said in an interview with Bill Moyers in 1973, "You are only free when you realize you belong no place. You belong every place, no place at all. The price is high, the reward is great." As we end the service, please greet those around you, and if there's a child near you with their interpretation of what belong means, ask them to explain it to you. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.